But yeah, if you're not following us on Twitch, then feel free to do so. It's Twitch TV/Dubious Engineering. But what we've got today is a hand pressing flashlight. It says, simply shake to recharge. It's not quite shake, but you know, not a bad effort from those that have designed it. It comes in multiple colours and all the rest of it. This was a very kind donation by Mr. Jonathan Kerry, who's a local chap. Boxing. First things first, have a look at it. We can see that there's a row of 3 LEDs on the front of it here. And it's all quite compact and bijou. Not too many screws in it either, which is quite nice to see. Just a couple of screws here. But ultimately, you've got a little switch on the back of it here, which releases the handle. And there it is, look at that. Yes, indeed. So the handle whizzes some cogs and gears around inside this little cute thing. And it lights up the LEDs. Now, yeah, so it's quite an interesting little device. It's got a little carry strap that doesn't really fit around your wrist unless you're like 3 years old. The thing here is that just doing that doesn't quite work, does it? The great news, there's obviously some kind of battery in here. I'm going to guess it's going to be something like a little nickel cadmium or nickel metal hydride. Yeah, so let's get the screwdriver of knowledge out on this. But yeah, we got a couple of screws on here, so it shouldn't be too much of a hardship to pop these screws out. There we go, 1 screw. Nice long self-tapper. Let's very carefully prise this case apart and see if we can get inside and look at the internal workings. Now, there might be some fine wires in here. There are indeed some wires and some cables in here. So let me just see if I can show you what's inside here. But ultimately then, what we have is it's actually really quite nice to sort of see. And to be honest, let's get rid of this little strap. There's absolutely no need for that strap, especially such a small strap on. But ultimately, what we've got here then is we've got a little linear actuator, which has got some teeth on a linear peg, if you like. That rotates this wheel. And the wheel has got a small cog on one side. Oh my goodness, I'm properly taking this apart now. The wheel has got a small cog on one side, and you can see the small cog here, and you can see that slightly banana shaped linear drive, that linear actuator there, and that clearly meshes nicely with the small cog. Gears, that's another thing. That's a totally different thing to talk about one day. Gears are an absolute nightmare. They're really quite interesting, gear design, but we won't get into that today. And then obviously we've got a lot of small teeth around the outside of this. So rotating this small cog around the center pin here means that the outer cog, the effective speed of the outer cog, is much faster. And then that outer cog hits this small inner cog here, and the small inner cog is then spinning much faster. So the small inner cog, what we have with the small inner cog is a what's it called, like a locking mechanism. You can see here these tiny little levers that actually, and this is really, it's quite an interesting design when you look at this, because these tiny little levers here, they fold up. So they release this outer, another little cog here, effectively their gear teeth. This outer cog here meshes with those gears when they are flung out, and they push that outer cog around like that. And then when you release the handle, those little inner cog teeth just sort of fold away like that, and the outer cog is free to move. So that spins around. Well, let's just see if I can pop this. Let me get some tweezers here. See if I can pop this this outer cog off. There we go. Look at that. There we go. It's come off like an absolute beauty. And this inner cog then spins around. And if you look at the inner cog, if you look at what's happening when I move that inner cog around, it flicks to a certain location. I would guess that this housing, this little housing here, has got some fixed magnets in it. And those fixed magnets... no, it's not multiple fixed magnets. It's actually just one magnet. I was expecting there to be a whole run of fixed magnets all sitting around the outside of this. This is really quite an interesting design. But ultimately, yeah, we've got a little magnet here. So let's just pop that out. There's the magnet. And then we've got this bunch of magnets. We've obviously got the spindle here, the center pin. But here we have some magnetic conduits, and what these do here, they draw the magnetic flux from the circular magnet into some coils which are likely underneath here. Now these might be bolted in. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to, yeah, I can't, they're glued in, I can't get those out. But ultimately then, these little pieces of steel here magnetize a couple of coils down in here. And if you look very, very carefully, you should be able to see, just under my tweezers here, you should be able to see a couple of extremely fine copper wires. Hopefully you can see those just glimmering away there. And those fine little wires charge up a battery that's, whoops, that's another piece of the housing there. Those fine little wires charge up a battery or a capacitor that's going to be underneath here. So it'll be interesting to pop this off and see what kind of battery or capacitor that's in underneath here. But there's a switch here as well, and if you activate that switch, there you go, you can see the LEDs have lit up. So we'll just go ahead and turn that switch off. I tell you what, I don't know how much these things are. It was a kind donation, but I can only guess that this is, you know, a handful of quid. It's what, a £5, £7, something like that, in your local junk shop. But it's just incredible how much they managed to cram into this. I'm really keen to see what battery it is that's connected to the LEDs in this housing. So let's get deeper into this wonderful piece of magic. Okay, let's remove yet another little self-tapping screw. And I can only guess that this is put together by hand. It's not going to be put together by machine. It's all put together by hand. So we'll get the screws out there and let's have a look and see if we can see what is under here. Wow! Now that's what I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting that at all. So this is just a housing, and it's got a tiny little conductor in there that makes contact with the positive side of an LR. I need to put my glasses on for this. Hang on a second. An LR1130. This is a mercury button cell, and we have got yeah, picking that up with a pair of tweezers isn't a great idea actually, because I'll short the outside to the inside of that mercury cell. But yeah, so basically we've got a whole bunch of these little, we've got 3 of these little LR1130 0% Hg. What does that mean, 0% Hg? I thought they're mercury, but I could be wrong about that. But what's really interesting is this charging mechanism is basically charging up, in my most humble opinion, and I could be wrong, non-rechargeable button cells. Never seen anything quite like this before. That's really quite cool. But yeah, ultimately then we've got 1, 2, 3 of those little mercury cells in there, and then underneath that we've got 1, 2, 3 of those LEDs in a plasticized housing that has got a reflector on it. That is cool. Let's see if we can put all of this back together and see if we can get it all up and running again. And yet there indeed, as you can see, is that little tiny conductor. Maybe you can just about see that little tiny conductor there that is wired into this soldered oh my goodness, look at that, the tiny little solder junction right there. Yeah, that is absolutely fabulous. I am digging this. The design of this is magnificent. It really is. And you know, clearly it's designed to be cheap and cheerful, and it's quite functional. I've been really quite impressed with the performance of this. Something that you could keep in your camping kit. You know, when you go away on holiday, you've then got something that you can use to see where you're going when you decide you badly need a pee at night. Well, the great news is I've reassembled that, and the LEDs and the light is still working. Right, let's see if we can get this housing back in place. Yes, housing is sort of back in place. Let's get the magnet, the charge magnet here, back on its spindle. Let's put the drive cog in. It's just, and that was the thing that I just wasn't expecting to see. But these tiny little legs, these tiny teeth that fling out by centrifugal force to engage that that charge cog there, that generator, that tiny little generator. That is something else. And then we have how did this go back together? Oh yeah, that's right. So that cog meshes on the second spindle. That cog meshes with the linear drive, and with a little bit of luck, if we carefully push that, yeah, there we go, we can see we've got it all back in place and it all looks like it's working. And then this guy here, this is just like a little piece of plastic that basically turns on that tiny little single pole, single throw switch. There we go, check that out. I mean, wow, cool beans, people. That is really quite epic. And here's the other thing is when you push that up in place, there's another, just over here, there's another little switch, and when you put that switch in place, it locks the handle in place as well. Right, let's get the lid on this. Come on, lid. This is going to be the fun bit, isn't it? Trying to get it all back together. Come on, lid. Oh! Oh, God, come on. Get in there. Yep. He's sort of almost in. Oh, yes. There we go. Look at that. Oh, no. Oh, the little thing fell out. Right, let's just get that little thing. There we go. Brilliant. Look at that. All back together. Clicked. Locked. Get those self-tappers back in place. And there we go, guys and girls. I tell you what, I'm actually quite impressed with that for however much these cost, and I don't think it's going to be a lot of money. I think it must be all of about £7 or something along those lines. Just fantastic. And screwed back together. tightened up gently, not going to over tighten these. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, undo this. Turn on the light. Just brilliant. There we go, folks. Probably the world's shortest Twitch stream ever, but I felt the need to show you around this. And a big thank you to John Kerry for kindly sending this to me. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you ever so much for watching. Take care. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week and weekend. And the plan is actually to republish this video on YouTube. And a big thanks to John Kerry for sending this in to us. What a cool piece of kit. And I will say, the light on this lasts for quite a long time. It lasts for a good hour with no charge. As soon as you get back on it and start charging it, fantastic. Ladies and gents, take care. Have a wonderful week and weekend. Please don't forget to give us a good old thumbs up on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe. Obviously, feel free to join us on the Twitch stream as well. We will do these on the occasionally. But yeah, we'll definitely be having more fun doing this kind of madness. All right, take care, people. Have a wonderful week and weekend. Bye for now.